Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. Today, let's have a conversation about rest. I consider rest to be a vital part of any equation that involves working hard and working towards an important goal. I run 3 businesses and people are constantly asking me, when are you going to rest? When are you going to rest? I assure you, I rest. I rest in the way that I know how to rest and the kind of rest that revitalizes me. In this discussion, I want to talk about 3 things: when to rest, why you should rest, and how to rest. And those things are different for each of us. But it's important to get our heads around this because of all the things that 2020 has served up to us, certainty is not one of them. We've still got to the end of 2020 and we have zero certainty about how 2021 is going to unfold. None of us know if the world's going to be open, it's not going to be open. Are the vaccines going to be safe? Are they not going to be safe? Is the world's economy going to crash? Is it not going to crash? When is our industry going to be able to open up again? These are all questions of uncertainty. But in the landscape of this year, we have all learnt a new rhythm of life. For many of us, having the opportunity to rest has been a luxury that we haven't quite afforded ourselves as often as we could have. So, in the coming weeks on this podcast, we're going to spend some time looking at how to prepare for 2021. And we may take a different approach in the way that we put that content out. I'm considering a couple of different options right now, but you'll know by next week how we're going to do this. Rest is going to be something that we explore at length in that series, however it comes out. But today, let's start by talking about why we should rest. Each of us has a tank. Think of it this way. We have a tank for all the different parts of ourselves. We have a tank for when it's full of what our emotional capacity is. We have a tank of what our physical energy capacity is. We have a tank for what our intellectual capacity is. How long can we think for? So when those tanks run dry, we need some time to fill them back up again. The way we fill those tanks back up again is by taking a moment to rest and allowing ourselves to recharge. With 2020 being the way that it's been, and it being unrelenting with the amount of things it's just kept throwing at us, we kept feeling that we needed to pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot every time something changed. And so taking the moments to just recharge haven't been afforded to us in the same ways that we may have done that previously. I want it to be known really clearly for anyone who's watching this and thinking like the only way to achieve and be a successful entrepreneur or successful at my career is to just constantly work hard. That's not the case. It's not the case at all. Anybody who is approaching a long-term strategy at success and building a business or building a fantastic career, doing anything that's hard, you work into the equation of your success, filling those tanks back up, whether it be filling up time for rest of your mind, filling up time for rest of your soul and your heart, or your body. So it's important, beyond anything that you might imagine, to make sure that you make the space in your life and your existence to rest all of the different parts of yourselves and refill the tanks. When should you do that? I have a rule for my own rest. My rule is that rest happens when it's needed and safe for me to do so. I don't rest if it's going to put the things that I'm doing in jeopardy. I also don't do anything if it's going to put my rest in jeopardy. That may sound strange, but let me explain. If I'm starting to feel that my tanks are running low and somebody approaches me about a new project, and I love the idea of the project, but I can feel that I've been going hard for far too many weeks on end or far too many months on end, and they need me to jump on board for a project right now. The question I'm asking myself is it safe for me to do this, knowing that my tanks are running low, and if I take this project on, I'm probably going to end up in exhaustion. Now, if that's the case, it's not safe for me to do this project, and I'll have to say no. An important part of rest, a really important part of rest, is how you set that up. And learning to say no is an important element of that. On the flip side of it, I don't rest if it puts the projects that I'm working on in jeopardy. So for example, if I'm doing something and I feel like, maybe I should just go to a movie and hang out and just take the whole weekend off. I don't really need to, but why not? Well, is it safe to do so? Has everything that needs to get done been done? And if this isn't some planned time off or taking a week off, weekend, not such a big problem. Taking a week off, taking a month off, if I'm in the middle of a project, that jeopardizes whatever it is I'm working on. So I don't take rest until it's safe to do so, but I don't take projects on until it's safe to do so because it might compromise my rest. So deciding when to rest is important. Having said that, I want you to know, I make sure that I have one day off a week that I absolutely rest on. I take Saturdays off, and here's the main reason I do that. It's a vocal rest day for me. I have 2 podcasts. As well, I do a lot of consulting and coaching. And so for me, I use my voice a lot, and I need to have one day of the week where I don't talk to anybody. So I sit on my couch, I watch movies, I eat great food. I don't look, well, that's a lie. I do look at my phone, I just don't answer phone calls. And I don't talk to anybody. This is the kind of rest that's absolutely important for recharging a tank that I have to use all day, every other day of the week than my rest day. And that's an important reason why you should rest also, is because it recharges everything that you need. It puts more fuel in your tank. So if I rest my voice for a full day, I shoot the podcast, this Daily Coffee Pro, usually the day after my rest day because my voice is ready to go. But if you listen to this podcast now and listen to it earlier this year, my voice doesn't sound as hoarse as it does right now. I had to learn how to rest. So when you rest, it's important to understand that you have to learn how to do that, which leads us to the third thing that we said we were going to discuss. How do you rest? Well, it's a practice. You have to figure out what are the things in your life that are going to recharge you the most. For some people, doing exercise is resting. For other people, meditating is resting. For some of us, sleep is resting. For others, eating and spending time with really great people is resting. And perhaps your version of rest is a combination of all of those things, or perhaps getting in your car and going for a road trip. For some people, though, getting in a car and going on a road trip is exhausting. So for you, it's important to understand, how do you best rest and recover? It's not just about spending time not doing work. That's not what rest is about. If you're spending time not doing work but stressing out about children and your partner, that's not going to help you either. So, learning how to rest in a way that specifically targets recharging all the different tanks that you've drained since you rested last is important. Now, one caveat to all of this. I want you to prioritize one particular thing every single day, and that's sleep. Far too many people are not sleeping enough. And if you are not sleeping, it is the epitome of rest for all the versions of yourself. I prioritize sleep as the number one thing of my day. I do not set an alarm. I do not wake up for an alarm unless I have to take a flight that cannot happen any later than the earliest time in the morning. Other than that, I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. I wake up whenever I wake up, which is usually somewhere between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. But learning how to have great sleep hygiene, learning how to have, and sleep hygiene, if you've never heard that term before, is not what you think it means. It's not about a clean body or anything like that. It's about having a routine that gets you into sleeping. So making sure you're not exposed to blue light, getting off your phone a certain amount of time before you get to sleep, perhaps taking a couple of magnesium tablets with zinc so that it can get you in a relaxed state so that you can get to sleep. But learning what your, what the best way to get you to have a good, deep sleep for at least 6 hours a night, preferably 8, is a massively important part of your rest so that you can be recovered to even just add a little bit to the tank the next day. You don't have to fill it up the whole way, but it will rejuvenate. Your strategy towards rest, and this is something I've focused on for years and years, I've been working on my own rest strategy. It is really important that you figure out how that works for you. So understand why it is that you want to rest. Understand when you are going to make time for rest every day, every week, and throughout the year. And understand how you best rest. Rest is a learnt practice. It is something you will get better at, and you will use skills like assertiveness, learning how to say no, as well as observation in your own life to be able to look at the plan that you have and be able to apply that to your rest strategy. So I hope this has been helpful. This is really, really important, friends. Make sure that you're prioritizing rest in the way that you need to rest throughout your life, throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your year, throughout your career, throughout your business. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.